How would you like to fast track your next promotion with a dozen strategic steps? That's right. It's 12 steps that are going to be able to help you get your next promotion much, much faster than you think. Now, I'm coming to the point where I've nearly been working 3 decades, but if I talk about the 25 years that I was employed by somebody else, I can share with you, and I don't know if this is as impressive or not impressive. It doesn't seem very impressive to me, but then I looked at the stats. I was only promoted 5 times in 25 years. So my average at bat, if you like, was one promotion every 5 years in my career. All the other salary increases were down to job moves or sideways relocations, things that weren't actually promoted from, let's say, manager to a senior manager. That only happened 5 times for me. So don't be too hard on yourself, because here's the average. The average, according to Gallup, is actually only 1 in 7 years, meaning if you got promotion once every 7 years for your entire 30 or 40-year career, or however long it is you're going to work, you've hit the average. So if you've done more than that, congratulations, you are ahead of the average promotion rate. And there's a reason for that, because there's lots of people who are visionaries and goal setters, and then there's lots of people who are problem solvers and do the work. And the people who typically do all the work tend not to get as many promotions as the people who are more visionary, who move up the organizational hierarchies. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, how does this story relate to me? I studied the data on this to take a look at, well, how does this break down? When do those 1 in 7 or 1 in 5 year promotions actually happen? Well, it's about a third split. About 33% of those promotions happen in your first 1 or 2 years of being in role. The next third happen anywhere between 3 and 5 years. And then the last third means you're going to be in your role over 5 years before you get promoted. But what's stark about that, it does mean that 2 out of 3 of you aren't getting promoted in the next 3 years. So that's why this average of 1 in 7 is so long, is because only one person typically is going to get promoted in that first 2 years of being inside their new role. These are vital information, and I wanted to share that about my story. If you're anything like I was in my career, there's probably 3 things going on for you as it relates to promotion. So the first thing is, when we think about the problem, is we keep getting overlooked for promotion, usually in favor of somebody who we keep thinking, why them? Why not me? Well, it's likely to do with one very simple thing, that you could be more knowledgeable and more experienced than somebody else. But I'm telling you what happens with promotions. It comes down to skills and the value you add. And then the second part is, what have you got in the attitude locker that's going to help the organization move you into a more senior position, a position of authority? That's the first one. The other thing that happens is, with your manager, your boss, your line management, your company, the goalposts keep moving. So even though you are achieving everything that you've been asked, by the time you get round to another promotion conversation, your boss or your manager or somebody in the HR department says, yeah, but you've not quite met this standard. And so you go away and you do that standard, and then you come back and the goalposts move again. And I know exactly how that feels. It happened to me several times in my career, where role clarity and responsibility clarity and what it was going to take to get promoted were never clear. And it's often the case in many organizations. But what it comes down to, the biggest problem, and this is the problem that I know I did not have, and this is my big clue for you, you don't have a strategy for how you're going to get promoted. And today we're going to go through those dozen strategic steps that are going to help you move to the next level. Okay, let's dive into the 12 strategic steps that you can use that are going to get you a fast track to promotion right away. And I want to start with the doozy. And you probably thought maybe I was going to talk about this somewhere in the dozen, but I think it's number 1. I actually think that triangle I just talked to you a little bit about in the last section, where you know you have good knowledge, you know you've got great experience, you've been around, you know where the bodies are buried, you know how the company works, you know the processes for how things work. And because you're the most knowledgeable and maybe the most experienced, maybe you've got this sense or feeling that you should be promoted to a higher level of seniority. But it doesn't always work that way. And actually what we see is the emphasis is always on 2 other areas, and that really is on skills development and the value you bring to the organization. But this is strategic step number 1, attitude. Your attitude is everything. Attitude is going to either close your mind to opportunity or it's going to open your mind to opportunities. And I have this conversation inside my communities all the time that we know what an opportunity is, but inside of every opportunity, there are multiple possibilities. And I have these processes that I go through where I can extend those possibilities to people so they can start to see, wow, I hadn't actually thought that that opportunity could create more for me. And this is where that shift in mindset is going to get you to the point where your attitude moves you to the next level. Second, strategic success factor for moving you to the next level. I don't care where you work. This is contrarian and maybe goes against a lot of what you know or what you think is valuable inside of your organization. But I want you to know this. Stop working late. Number two, you don't need to work late if you just need to work on the productive hours. So what people do is tend to do emails in the morning before work, and they're looking at their phone in their bed when they're not on social media or looking at the latest reels on TikTok or YouTube. They're actually looking at emails and seeing what's happened overnight between the time they went to bed, which is what they were doing just before they went to bed, was looking at their phone and looking at emails or working on the laptop. This is unproductive behavior. And if you're doing this, it means that your role probably isn't very clearly defined and your responsibility probably isn't clearly defined. And so you're doing all you can in the hope that that's going to get you promoted. But I can promise you, there is no evidence for this, that if you work late, that a promotion will come. So I want you to stop it for the benefit of your own health, for the benefit of your own family, and all of your other relationships besides. The third strategic step on this 12 list is drop non-critical activity. And what do I mean by that? We talked about it in the last section is if you're working late, there's a really good chance that you're low productivity the whole day, not just in those morning hours when you're looking at your emails or in those evening hours when you're looking at those emails. It means that everything's wayward, that role definition doesn't exist, responsibility doesn't really exist. We're not quite clear how we get promoted anyway. But I want you to do this exercise. I want you to take a look at everything that you know you are responsible for, typically your tasks and your projects, and make a list of them, write them all out, and then take a look at how many of these are actually needed. And I want you to write down meetings that you go to, one-to-ones that you may be involved in. This is crucial because on that list is a ton of non-critical work that you do not need to do because it won't do one of these three things. It will not boost revenue or profitability for the company. It will not introduce cost savings to the company, or it won't make anything more efficient. In other words, it's busy work, low productivity work, administration that isn't required for you to be successful, but most importantly, isn't required for you to get promoted. So take a look at that list. You've got 20%, I would say, is accountable for maybe 80% of all of the results that you get in your role. So what we got to do is start focusing more on those critical actions that are making the biggest difference and reduce the 80% that's underneath. This is a great exercise because when you get this right, you'll be able to share this strategy and this technique with not only your manager, who's going to be super impressed that you're cleaning things up and making things efficient, but you're going to be able to help your teammates, your peer group, as well as your subordinates, anybody who works for you too. This will be transformational for what you can do every single day. One of the secrets to the promotions that I did get, and there were 2 or 3 that applied to this. Number 4, add a side project. That's right. You've already got a job and you probably think you don't have time to add another side project. But if you follow number 3 well and you reduce the time you spend on non-critical activity, then you can insert a side project. And this is typical for another leader. That's right. You go and find a mentor, another leader in the organization. You volunteer to help them on their projects, maybe something outside of what you already do. And this shows that you are able to handle more responsibility. When you can demonstrate that you can handle more responsibility, you will find yourself fast-tracked into a new role that takes over all of this activity. Number 5, and closely tied to number 4, is tell all leaders, every leader inside your organization, whenever you bump into them, everything that you are working on. Tell them about the projects you're working on. Tell them about the impact of those projects, what revenue and profitability will come from them, what cost savings will come from them, and the efficiencies that you bring with your skills, your talents, your gifts to the company. What you're going to find is those people become sponsors for you and word of mouth for you because they know what you're up to and they'll share that information around the organization. So never an opportunity go by with an executive who is above your level to let them know exactly what it is that you're working on. And it's okay to brag a little. Hey, this is James jumping in the middle of this video because I don't want you to miss the opportunity to have a conversation with me. If we've not met yet and you're watching this for the first time, I don't know what digital platform you're seeing this on. It could be YouTube, it could be LinkedIn, it could be somewhere else. But if you're seeing this for the first time, you don't know me and we've never met, I want to be able to offer you a 3-step strategy that's going to transform your career, your mission, your business, wherever it is that you spend your professional life. And it will take us less than 30 minutes to do that. And it's free. There are no obligations. And I will not sell you a thing on the phone call. I just want to make sure you've got what you need to get unstuck, moved on, and to the next level. Click in the description. There's a link there for a 30-minute intro call, and we'll be speaking real soon. Number 6, very close to my heart, is to find yourself a coach or a mentor, both inside the organization and outside the organization. I think a lot of my successes have been due to the presence of coaches and mentors. Now, some mentors could be famous, people you see on digital platforms, people you've seen, I think back to cassette tapes and CDs and listening to some of the people, business philosophers and health philosophers and relationship coaches and listening to some of those conversations. But that's one place. The other place is the people who are closest to you normally are armed and packed with information, and they can become mentors for you. And I recommend if you don't have a mentor inside of your company right now, get one. Get yourself into a relationship with a senior executive who's already achieved the results that you would like to achieve. Build a relationship with them by giving more value to them. And then they'll get to help you by spreading the word about how competent you are, how capable you are, and that you're taking action on the things that you are talking about. Now, you can also find yourself a coach. Now, if you don't have tuition reimbursement in your company, but most companies do, you can get a tuition reimbursement for coaching inside of the company. You can attend coaching that the leadership team in the HR are setting up, a leadership development team. They typically provide you with trainings and coaching. So I want you to attend as many as you can, but make sure you use and apply the information that you learn. But you can look outside of the organization. And this has happened for me as it does right now. I run my own company, but I am coached by 3 other coaches in business alone. So I have somebody to help me with thinking about my marketing, somebody to help me about my writing, and then somebody who's my strategist, who's helping me think about how does the business work and what are the things that need to happen. Now, I'm not saying that you need to do that because you're an employee. If you're an employee watching this, then you just need to think about who's my executive coach, who is my professional coach, who is the person who's helping me make the next grade to get that promotion. I guarantee it, if you introduce that person to your boss, you will double the opportunity for you to get promoted in less than 30 days. So I'm super excited about you working with coaches and mentors. Number 7 is to do something that you probably already thought about, and that is to change roles or switch roles or move sideways inside of your organization. Yeah, remember what we said about the rule of thirds. It might be quicker for you to step over a lane and get promoted in the first 2 years inside of that organization than it is to stay where you are and wait more than 3 years or 5 years for a promotion where you are. Number 7, switch roles. Number 8 of the dozen steps to fast track your promotion: calculated risks and educated guesses. Yes, you're going to need to take some risk and you're going to need to make some guesses about what works for you. So let's start with education guesses first. Things that you have knowledge and experience about, you're going to be able to guess and anticipate needs about what the organization needs. And when you solve that problem, what you'll notice is you'll be able to move yourself closer to taking a promotion or moving into a new role. Now, the other side of that is calculated risks. You will need to take a calculated risk inside of your career at some stage. And I can think of 2 or 3 examples in my career. Let me tell you about a time when I was thinking about leaving one organization that was in the telecoms field and moving into another organization which was looking at semiconductors and microchips and things like that. And it was a very different organization. So I got very wrapped up in I don't know the industry. I don't think I'm going to be able to do automotive telematics. I don't think that's something I know much about. Why can I be successful there? But the calculated risk was the opportunity and the possibilities that existed if I moved to the different organization. And I was right, because guess what? That was one of my 5 promotions came from. Within 2 years of being there, I was promoted up another tier. So for you, you do need to think about educated guesses, and you do need to think about calculated risks and take them. This is one of the strategic steps you need to engage in that's going to move you to your next promotion. Now, if you've been following along so far, you'll notice that there's a little bit of a theme coming up. Now, there are people who are problem solvers, but there are also people who are problem identification specialists. Those people hold on to issues and the emotional responses to those issues. And they're the ones who are complaining and gossiping, and they're not really moving the organization very far. And you know who these people are. They are in your company and they're continually complaining. And you probably could name them out loud if you're watching this right now. But you're the problem solver. You know how to take a look at a particular issue and identify what are the consequences of not doing anything. The other thing you know is if we assess all the consequences, we can come up with some alternatives about what's the solution. And you're probably really good at ideating and innovating with groups of people where you are a problem solver, and you've become known for that. Yes, this is number 9. Fix dysfunction inside your organization. So if you can see things that are actually broken, problems that exist for the company, I recommend that you set about, either by yourself or with a team of people around you, fixing the dysfunction. This is number 9. Number 10, we talked about this right at the beginning of the conversation when I was telling you that the problem is you likely don't have a strategy. So these 12 steps are strategic in nature, but this number 10 is the actual plan. Yeah, for you to get promoted, you need a customized, personalized, and clear plan about how you're going to do it. So you're needing to take the rest of these steps, put them together, and come up with a plan about what's going to work for you inside your organization. Now, I don't know your organization, so I'm making a dozen ideas here available to you so you can start to think about what does your plan look like. Now, if you need help with that, I've already let you know, you can book a call with me and we can go through your 3-step strategy, and that will give you the strategy completely free of charge. I don't need you to pay me any money for that. I'll just give it to you and tell you, well, these are the things that you can go away and do, but be specific. Work on that plan with specificity, and you will notice that it will move you immediately in the direction of your next promotion. And I, for one, am excited about that for you. Number 11, as we get to the end here of our dozen strategic steps to fast track your promotion, is to work on your skills development. I've talked about this as a theme throughout the conversation, but I want you to do an identification analysis, a gap analysis of the things that are missing. Now, this can be done with your management. This can be done with your boss. This could be done with HR, where you start to identify what's missing. And I did this with one of my companies that I work for, a large information company, where I sat down with HR, I sat down with the president of the company, and we documented everything that I needed to skill up in. And a lot of it was soft skills. It was about flexibility, adaptability, decision-making, risk mitigation, all those things. Where could I get better at those? And so some of that, there was formal training, but others, it was informal training or working with people who knew how to get things done because they already had developed the skill. So I would go away and work with those people, and they would give me the information I needed so I could enhance my own skill development. This is number 11. It's vital. Please don't downplay number 1, attitude, and number 2, this number 11, skills development. This is so vital for how you get to your next promotion. Okay, we've got to the end of this. And right before I go, I just want to thank you. So you've got this far in the video and you've spent time listening to what I had to say to you. I'm going to give you the final thing here, but I suspect that you're probably already well down the path of shifting this. And what do I mean by that? I want you to change the way you think. I want you to change the way you think about your current situation. I want you to change the way you think about your health, your relationships, your communication style. The way you operate right now is not getting what you want. And that's why you've watched the video until this point. So number 12 is to develop a fresh mindset. And I want you to take this with you because we've talked about how you're knowledgeable. I know you've got loads of knowledge, and that's probably why you're watching the video, because you're probably trying to figure out, why didn't I get promoted if I know the most and I'm the most experienced and I know more than anybody else? It's coming down to these few things. And one of them is attitude, which we talked about in number 1. Skill development, and they've got to get some skills upgraded. And I recommend you do this with your managers, with your bosses, with your HR departments. And then you layer in on top of that, this mindset, a new way of thinking. Now, I used to use the word philosophy. I never really understood what philosophy meant, but the way you think is really holding you where you are right now. So if you feel stuck, I guarantee it's something to do about the way you think about a particular situation. It's the assumptions you're making. And then one more thing you're attaching to that, you're probably going it alone. But I'm glad you watched this video, and that's why I thank you, because you're no longer going it alone. You've got somebody coaching you for free, telling you what are the things that you need to get done. It's been a pleasure conversation with you today, and I'm looking forward for you to implement these and drop your comments in below about how your promotion went for you, what did that mean for you personally, and then what you're going to be up to next. Thank you for watching. As I say, I really like that you get to hang out with me for a few minutes here on YouTube and we can get to watch some of the content together. I want you to click into the next one where I'm going to be waiting there for you to give you some more self-development tips, more professional development tips that are going to make a difference to what it is that you're doing right now. So I'll see you inside.